Fine?
We are fine, ma'am. How
Fine, ma'am.
Hope everyone you must be fine in this particular um, situation of corona. Now we are going to start our online lecture for the subject CA 301 web designing. Okay. Uh, Everyone you might have seen timetable from the website. Yes.
yes,
And everyone you might have also referred to the syllabus. Have you downloaded the syllabus? If not, please download the syllabus from the website and refer to the course CA 301 web designing. From that also you will get these particular objectives. What are the course objective? What are the contents of the course? That first of all we are going to see here, as this is the first lecture. Now, why do we are going to learn this particular subject of web designing? What are the objectives? That first of all you should able to understand. Otherwise, if we don't know that why we are going to learn this, there is no any knowledge that we can acquire properly. Now everyone you must be using here the websites, different websites. Now in this situation we are doing everything online. We are purchasing online, we are attending classes online. So the websites are now very much important. But what happens that some websites becomes useful while some websites we ignore, we do not use them. So why this happens? This happens due to some websites are developed in such a manner that users like them. So what are those characteristics of the websites? Due to that the users like them. What are those skills or what are those characteristics that are added in the website, and therefore the users are referring, like to refer them. So those skills we have to adapt, and we are going to develop the skills which are required or which are useful for web designer, that we have to learn in this particular course. Usability of a website means what? How much useful the website is. That is what the usability of the website. So what are those skills that we have to analyze, we have to learn, we have to develop, so that we can develop the useful websites. That is the first objective. Then next to that, as a web designer, we should understand and we should be able to plan and conduct the user research related to the web usability. Means what? That sometimes what happens, though according to us we have developed many good web applications, or we have incorporated many good modules in our website, but what are the exact expectations of the user, that we have to understand. So for that we need to conduct the user research related to the web usability, and accordingly we have to plan. So how to conduct those particular user research, so that we can understand the need of the users. That also is the important task nowadays. See, this Google, Amazon, these big owners of the websites, what they are doing, they are always maintaining a staff, or they are always engaging their team that is busy in planning the user research, and they are conducting the user research related to the web usability. They find that what users like, they always do research on that, and accordingly they update their websites and their web applications, and therefore most popular websites are becoming more and more popular day by day. Like we make use of different email facilities which are very much popular nowadays, such as Gmail, Yahoo. Then we have many websites which we use for online purchasing, like Flipkart we use web, Amazon. Then again, for finding our any technical problems, we make use of Quora website. So like that, these particular popular websites are always engaging a team who is doing this particular job. So this is one of the important tasks that as a web designer we should be able to understand. So that is what the second objective that we have to learn in this particular course. Then next to that, it is obvious, and it is the heart of the web designing course, that we should able to understand, we should able to make use of the languages of the web. So basic languages of the web are HTML, XML, and CSS. Okay, so these languages we have added in our syllabus, and then we are going to learn these particular languages during this complete course: HTML, XML, and CSS. Then next to that, we have to learn some techniques which will be useful for responsive web designing, including media and queries. So different queries we put by using web applications, by using different websites. Again, we are making use of different media, like we are making use of audio file, video file, or we are making use of some particular files that we put on website and we refer them. So how to develop such a responsive web pages? What are the techniques? Due to that, we will be able to incorporate the media in our web application or in our website. So how to develop that responsive type of the web pages that we have to learn in this particular course. So these are overall the course objectives that are kept in mind during designing of this particular course, and we should focus on these objectives while learning this particular course. Now, the detailed syllabus, as I told you earlier, that you have to download by referring to our website, that you will do on your PC or on your laptop or on your mobile. You download the syllabus for this particular course and just go through the syllabus so that you will get a brief idea that what you are going to learn in this particular course. So which different topics are covered in this course? So the course is divided into some units. In that, first unit is Introduction to Web Development. In that, we are going to learn basic components of the web application. What do you mean by static or dynamic web page? Then we are going to survey of some softwares which are needful, such as browsers, then servers. Then we are introducing to some scripting languages. Then we are going to understand that what is URL. Then we are going to introduce some languages like HTML and the latest version of HTML, that is HTML5, the next HTML, and CSS. Then what is semantic markup? What are the web page designing principles? See, when we are designing a web page, nowadays a school student can also develop a web page, but there should be difference in between the web pages that we are going to develop as a web designer and the non-professional one, like the college students or the school students are developing. So what is our aim? We should be able to design such a web pages which are normally developed by the professional web designer, so that we can get any job related to the web designing in good company or in good place. So therefore, what are the web page designing principles? Due to that, the websites we will be developing will become more good and like more popular websites. So for this particular purpose, what should be the habit as a viewer of the websites? When you are visiting to a particular website, you should have that particular we can say that the habit that when you are visiting to a particular website which is most popular, which are we are going to use daily, so you should try to observe that what are the characteristics of this particular website, what are the different features, how do the layout of the website is designed, how do the flow of the web pages is going on from this particular website. You should try to make a habit to watch or to understand these particular things, so that you will become the good designer, because this is actually the designing thing. So you should have a habit, you should have that particular thing in your mind, so that you will be able to understand it. Then we are going to understand some page layouts, website organization, basics related to website organization. So these all will be included in the introduction to web development. Then next to that, we have the study for HTML 5.0. In that, we are going to learn what is the structure of HTML5 document, then elements, tags, attributes, then head section, how to code the text elements, headings, paragraphs, inline elements, formatting and emphasizing text, then some important elements related to HTML5, then how to design web form, how to make use of the special characteristics which are incorporated in HTML 5.0, like SVG, canvas, how to incorporate audio, video, geolocation, which is also very useful nowadays, because we are referring to the websites by the different places. So that geolocation, drag and drop feature, web workers, I'll teach you one by one these particular characteristics of HTML 5.0 as we are going to proceed to the subject. Then next to that, in unit 3, CSS to format elements of a web page. What do you mean by CSS? So these are the cascading style sheets. Why we make use of CSS? So one basic thing I will tell you, that why we use it. Just I will tell you in this, that see, when we are referring to a website, for example, say website of our university. So we have a home page to the website. Then we have a sub home page for, say, our department, then for, say, School of Mathematical Sciences, then for, say, School of Management Studies, like that. But see, these particular pages have same look and feel. Means it is not the case that School of Computer Sciences will have a different type of the layout, and the look and feel will be very much different as compared to the homepage of the School of Computer Sciences, as they belong to the same institute, KBC North Maharashtra University. Their look and feel is normally same, so that everyone, the users, can just understand that okay, this is another department. So therefore what happens, some rules, style sheet is designed for that, and in that some rules are incorporated, and those rules are applied to the web pages, web page of the School of Computer Sciences, web page of the School of Management Studies. Okay, so that particular rules are applied to those web pages, and due to that, these particular web pages look similar, means look and feel become similar. So how to encode these particular CSS rules, how to develop that web pages, so that we have to learn in this particular unit 3, CSS to format elements of the web page. CSS applications, then selectors, basic rule, how to group the elements, class, ID selector, so and so. I will not go in detail, but these particular is very important to understand as a web designer. Then in unit 4, some more advanced skills related to HTML and CSS we are going to add, like how to work with forms, audio, video, how to make use of JavaScript, how to develop the web pages or the forms which will be making use of data validation. So that we are going to learn in this particular unit 4. Then these are the last 2 units which are included in our course. Unit 5, core concepts of XML. Now see, this XML, which is the markup language, another markup language. By using this XML, we can design our own language. We can design our own elements. We can design our own attributes. Like in HTML, everyone, you might have a basic introduction to HTML. It is not the case that you are unaware about HTML. Something you might have heard related to this particular language. So in HTML, we have a basic tags, like we have 2 sections, head and body. In body sections, normally whatever the contents that we like on a web page to appear, that we put. So we have a headings tags, we have a anchor tag, we have IMG tag, like that. So these particular tags are supported by HTML language. So you cannot add our own element by using HTML, but that you can do by using XML. Okay, so that core concepts of XML, how to make use of these XML parts of the XML document, then the document prologue, XML declaration. So the details of this particular XML, the core concepts related to XML, that are included in this unit 5. And then the last unit, unit 6, is modeling information. So that will be what the applications of the XML, how do you can make use of XML for creating the data storage, how you can make use of XML for creating dictionaries, narrative documents, how do you can make use of XML for metadata, how do you can create linked objects, that you are going to learn in this unit 6. So this is the overview for the topics that we are going to cover in this particular subject. Now, as usual, everyone might have question in the mind what I should use to learn this particular subject. So for that, in the syllabus, you will find references, and in that some list of the books are provided. So the first book is Anne Bohem, Murach HTML, XHTML and CSS by Schroff Publishers and Distributors. This you can download online also if it is available. Try to search, and this book you can purchase or otherwise online. So you should have this particular book with you. Then for XML, we are making use of the book Learning XML by Eric T. Ray, O'Reilly, Schroff Publishers and Distributors. Again, I'm going to provide you these particular PPTs as well as some material if I have. I'm going to create a Google Classroom. In this week, I will provide you the code for the Google Classroom in our WhatsApp group. From that, you may join, or you have to join to the Google Classroom, and by using that classroom, you can find out these particular PPTs and other related materials or some assignments that I'm going to conduct, that you can find from that. And then a very good website that you should refer, which is tutorialspoint.com. Everyone, you might already have visited for the another reasons, but for this HTML5, you should refer Tutorials Point. Their user interface of this Tutorials Point is very good, that they have given code, and then you can run there online. You can see what is the output of that, and in very simple language, the elements are described, their uses are described on this particular website, Tutorials Point. So go through this particular website today and see that what is given on that website. So these are the references. Now, okay, the objectives of the course you understood. What you have to understand, the overview of that. At least you might have understood the brief idea that what exactly you are going to learn. At least some keywords related to the subject that you might have understood over here. So after finishing the course, what you will become, that you will like to understand. So you will understand after this that how actually this web works, this World Wide Web, how it works really, what websites work, what is the usability of the websites, how to develop them, that you will be able to understand after learning or after completing this particular course. Then you have full-fledged knowledge of creating the simple and impressive web page design techniques. Then from basics to advanced you will go, and we have to focus on goal-oriented and user-centric designs while doing this. Then how to set up the page layouts, the color schemes, typography, means the different settings that in the designs you can do. So that obviously we are going to do with the help of CSS. So how to do it, that also you have understood. So that will be the outcome. Then write the valid and concise code for the web pages using XML, CSS and HTML. How to write the valid concise code for the web pages using XML, CSS and HTML, that you will be able to understand after finishing this particular course. Now see, everyone, you know the languages. Actually, everyone, you know the programming languages, like you know C, C++, then you know PHP, like that, different programming languages, different techniques, you know, that we normally use for doing the programming purpose. What is difference between a programming language and a markup language? That you should be able to understand. HTML is a language, okay, it is a hypertext markup language. It is a markup language, it is not a programming language. So understand the difference between programming language and markup language. In programming language, what we do normally we make use of the programming languages for solving the problems which are normally scientific problems or mathematical problems that we solve by using programming languages. So therefore, any programming language commonly supports the features like declaration of the variables, constants, different structures. It supports like it supports basic loops, then conditional statements, some advanced features it supports. By using that, you can make use of files, arrays, different data structures, dynamic, static. So all those you can incorporate you can implement by using the programming languages. But all these features are not there in markup language. What is the basic use of HTML? It is a language which we use for designing the web pages. So on a web pages, what we see the content, like we have a text, we have images, sometimes we have video, we have audio. So all this we have to arrange in such a fashion that if anyone read it, anyone refer it to understand, the user should be able to understand it very effectively. User should like to visit to that particular website. What is the purpose of the web page? For that you have designed it. The purpose should be satisfied. The user should be able to get the same thing that you want to say. So therefore, for designing such a web pages, we make use of the markup language. So normally, designing is the basic theme of any markup language. So therefore, accordingly, it supports the elements, it supports the attributes. The markup language supports that. We have to make use of that elements and we have to design the HTML web page. How to design it, that we are going to learn in the respective units. But this is the difference. In HTML, we do not have any feature like it will allow you to loop the things, it will allow you to create the variables, or it will not allow you to do those particular things that normally you do in the programming languages. That difference, everyone, you should be able to understand, which is there between markup language and the programming language. Okay, now this is overall the discussion for the syllabus and about the course objective and the course outcome. Hope everyone is listening me. Yes, anyone can say yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, are you getting?
Yes,
Are you
ma'am.
getting? Yes, not boring?
Ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay, so now we are going to start the first unit, which is Introduction to Web Development, the first unit from our syllabus. So this Introduction to Web Development, the first topic that we have to start with is how the web application work. So how do this particular web application works? So to understand this, you must understand first of all that what are the basic components which are involved in the web application. So it is obvious that if you are using World Wide Web, we will require the internet. So this is the internet. Okay, this capital I internet and small I internet. There is a big difference between these two words. This capital I internet is the internet which all over the world is spread. Okay, so that is that internet, and small I internet word means that can be any, like LAN, or it can be WAN, or it can be any internet in which the computers are connected with each other. So therefore, while referring to the World Wide Web's internet, you should write capital I, and that is what the internet. And then the other components which are involved in the web applications. So these two components are very much important, which are involved: client and web server, means client and server. So what is the job of a client? What is the job of a server? Okay, that first of all we should understand. What is a client? It is a software. Normally we make use of web browser as a client in this web development. Okay, many web browsers we are using, and you must be knowing that we make use of Mozilla Firefox, we make use of Internet Explorer, we make use of Opera. Many different web browsers are there. So those are client softwares. We can say that they are the client softwares, because in that web browser, you know that there is a address bar, and in that address bar we put a link, link of the website. We put it in the address bar, and when we click on that particular address bar, the URL of the website, that particular website is loaded in our web browser's window. Okay, so how do it is loaded? It is loaded as a response from the web server. Okay, that website is stored somewhere on the web server. Like for example, if you are visiting to our university's website, okay, that university's website is stored on a web server which is resided in our school. You know that in our school we have a web server, and in that web server all the content, all that data that we are visiting are saved on that web server. Okay, so on that we put that data, and client make a request. Client make a request, and that request is accepted by web server. Web server forms the response, and as a response it returns back that particular web page that we have requested. So this is how the client and the server works. This is how the client and the server works. Okay, so the client makes a request which is called as the HTTP request in this web development, because we are making use of the hypertext transfer protocol, HTTP protocol. HTTP. What this HTTP stands for? It is hypertext transfer protocol. What is the use of this hypertext transfer protocol? It transfers the hypertext from one computer to the another computer. Hypertext means the text which is get transferred from one place to another, and therefore it is called as the hypertext, and it is marked up by using the markup languages. So that is the hypertext. So client make a request, server is forming the response. Now see, client can make request anytime. Okay, it is not the thing that a particular period normally is made available by the web server, that you can visit to our website during only these particular hours. This is not what the conditions normally we find on any website. You can visit to website anytime, morning, afternoon, night, anytime you can visit to the website. So therefore web server has to ready or has to provide the service 24 hours. So web server has to ready for 24 hours. It should be 24 hours service provider, and client can make a request. So client initiates the connection. A connection is established in between the client and the web server. And how do this particular connection is established? This connection is established via the internet. Via the internet, as we have established the connection now via the internet. So like that, client establishes the connection with the web server via the internet, and by using that connection, the text is, or the communication is happening between client and the web server. So client makes a request, web server satisfy the request and gives response back to the client. So these are the components which are involved in the web applications: client, the internet, the web server. Okay, now see, we are talking about the internet. What is this internet now? So we will try to understand the basic architecture of the internet. Some of you or most of you might be knowing this particular, but as a part of introduction to this web development, we are going to revise it. What are the different components which are involved in the architecture of the internet? Okay, in this diagram you must be able to see some LANs are there. Okay, this is one LAN.
Hello ma'am.
Yes,
Ma'am, screen sharing off आहे वाटतं.
you are not able to see the diagram?
No.
Okay, let me check. Just wait. Yes? Yes? Are you able to see the
लोड
PowerPoint
होते हैं
presentation?
No,
Huh?
ma'am.
No, ma'am. No.
yes ma'am
Yes, ma'am.
दिसतं ma'am दिसतं
Yes?
No, ma'am.
No?
yes ma'am
No, ma'am.
No,
No,
you are
ma'am.
yes.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
yes ma'am
मॅम ते लोड होत
No,
असेल
ma'am.
प्रत्येकाकडे बाकीच्यांना दिसतंय काहींकडे लोड होत असेल
Yes, see, once again I have uploaded. Once again I have uploaded.
आलं मॅम दिसतंय
Yes?
हो हो
नाही दिसत आहे, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
You
No,
please
ma'am.
see
No,
the
ma'am.
option properly.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Why you are not able to see? Up to this you are able to see, and now what happens suddenly? याच्या पूर्वी दिसत होतं ना?
नाही मॅम दिसतच नाहीये.
नाही, ma'am. स्टार्टिंग पासून दिसत नाहीये.
स्टार्टिंग पासून दिसत नाहीये. Okay, now I will
नाही
try
दिसत
to
आहे,
screen share. Now see, I am sharing the screen. I have uploaded file as well as I am sharing.
Yes, ma'am.
screen.
आता दिसतंय.
दिसतंय मॅम.
Yes?
हो मॅम. हो मॅम.
Yes? Now everyone is able to see?
येस
ma'am.
Huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Course objectives we just discussed, topics covered, we discussed, and then we have discussed this diagram. Yes? Client, web server, the internet. Now able to see everyone? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
येस
Yes.
Okay. Now this point. Now this particular point we are going to start to discuss the architecture of the internet. Okay. So this architecture of the internet involves the terms like LAN, WAN, IXP. So what are these particular terms are that I am going to introduce you. So what is a LAN? The full form of LAN is local area network. What is it? It is just a simple network which is normally established in one room or in one lab, like in our computer science department, our school department. We have a LAN which we have established in one lab. Okay, so that is what a LAN to which the different computers are connected. So like that, we have different LANs, and these particular different LANs, we connect them together by using a bigger network than LAN, which is called as wider area network, WAN. Okay. So like that, we have a different WANs now. Here, this particular one WAN to which these three LANs are connected, the another WAN to which these LANs are connected. Like that, we have a different WANs. Now, what is this IXP? So, IXP is the Internet Exchange Points. Now, what is the purpose of these Internet Exchange Points? These Internet Exchange Points are used to connect the WANs together. We are wishing to form an internet so that all these bigger networks, WANs, should be connected with each other so that a more larger network will be able to form. So these WANs are connected with each other via IXPs, Internet Exchange Points. Now, how these particular IXPs will run? Who will take care of these particular IXPs? So what happens? There is an Internet Service Provider, means ISP. So these Internet Service Provider owns a WAN. They have their own WAN. And what that Internet Service Provider will do? That Internet Service Provider will share the WAN which is owned by him or her, or that particular Internet Service Provider company will put this WAN to the Internet Exchange Points, to this particular IXP. So like that, due to that, this WAN will be get connected to this WAN, to the another WAN, and these internet exchange points are connecting to each other, so that we can form a bigger, larger internet. Okay, so this is how the architecture of the internet is, and the different networks are get connected with each other. Okay, so the next slide is what we have learned up to this is that we have introduced to the web applications in which the different components which are involved, like web browsers, which are called as clients, web servers, then again network, the term involved in that. So then again we have introduced to the term called as LAN, which can also be called as the intranet, a small network. Now wide area network, we have introduced the term. So these WANs basically are connecting to the different LANs. How do it is get connected? It is get connected by routers. So we require a hardware device which is called as routers. So these routers are connecting to the different LANs and allowing us to create the wide area network, WAN. Then these different WANs are connected by using internet exchange points, as we have seen in the diagram. What is the internet service provider? So internet service provider owns a WAN and it leases access to its network. It allows us to access to its network by taking some payment from us. So they leases us. So on the basis of temporary use, they allow us to access to the network, and that way we are able to access the internet. So these internet service provider allows us to connect the WAN to the rest of the internet. Once that ISP puts that WAN to the rest of the internet, that will be again the part of the internet. And that way, if we subscribe for the internet connection towards the internet service provider, we'll get the access to the internet. So these are what the different terms that we have involved in the introductory points of the web development. Now, next in this unit, we'll proceed to the next points towards this topic of introduction to the web development, and in that we are going to learn about the static web pages and the dynamic web pages. So what do you mean by the static web page? What do you mean by the dynamic web page? What is the difference between that? Try to understand that difference. So how do these static web pages are processed? That also we are going to understand here. Now, what do you mean by a static web page? See, the clear definition of the static web page is that a static web page is a web page that only changes when the web developer changes it. Okay, so static web page means as it is get responded to the client as the web developer develops it. Okay, so this web page is sent directly from web server to the web browser when the browser requests it. No application server or no any another program or the script is involved in creating the response. As it is, if suppose on web server some page is stored, one HTML page is stored on web server, so that web page you are requesting from the client as it is given as the response. That is what the static web page. That is what the static web page. For example, this particular diagram, if you are able to see, this is giving us one static web page. Some website is there. So Technosolis, the name of that web page, Technosolis. So that is what the static web page. For example, again, our university's homepage, that is also a static web page, because as it is, as the web developer have developed it, as it is, we are going to get it. If it have the extension .html or .html, it will be static. But if it is coming from the application server, it will become the dynamic. Then I will tell you about the dynamic web pages. You will get the difference between the static and the dynamic web pages. Now, how do this particular static web page is get processed by the web server? Now, in the earlier topic, you have learned that a client, means a web browser, makes a HTTP request, and that request is listened by the server, and server is computing the response and is giving back to the client, means to the web browser. So here HTTP request has been made to the web server. On the web server there are HTML files which are stored, and that HTML file is given back as a response, which is called as the HTTP response, back to the web browser. And on the web browser's window, you can see that particular content, HTML page content. So this is how the web server processes a static web page. This is how a web server processes a static web page. Okay, so to design the web pages, we are making use of hypertext markup language, HTML, that we already have seen. These static web pages are the HTML documents which are stored on the web server. They are not get changed while giving response to the web browser, and they have simply the extensions .htm or .html. So that is what simply the way by which the web server processes the static web page. A request has been made, and that HTML page will be find out by the server, and that is responded back to the web server. This is what simply the way by which the static web page is processed. Now next to that, we will see what are dynamic web pages. As we discussed about the static web pages, how the dynamic web pages are get processed, or what are the dynamic web pages that we are going to understand here in this particular point. So what is dynamic web page? A dynamic web page is created by a program or a script on the web server each time it is requested. Okay, on the web server there will be installation of some program or of some script, like we have a server side scripting languages, like we have a PHP, we have a ASP.NET, we have a Ruby, we have a Python, we have a Perl. So these are what the different server side scripting languages. Those scripting languages are installed on the web server, and while computing the response as per the request of the web browser or as per the request of the client, to compute the response, web server is running that script, and as an output of that script, the response is formed. The output of that particular script will be the response creation. So when page is requested by a user, and if the web server is making use of program or script to create that particular response, that will be called as a dynamic web page. So each time when it is requested, it is get computed by the program or the script. Like here, see, one web page is put before you, which is giving you the name of the book, Murach JavaScript and DOM Scripting, and it is the website Amazon.com. Okay, so Amazon.com, on the Amazon.com, if you want to buy something, what you do? You search according to your need. If suppose your category of search is books, so you go into the category books, you put either the name of the book or author of the book, whatever is the keyword that you know related to that particular book, you put, and you try to find out that book. So that response is searched by the Amazon server. To create that response, what the Amazon server is doing on the database, which is held by the Amazon, it is searching where is that particular book is, and from the database it finds out that book, and it represents you before, it represents that particular book before you in the fashion like image cover, and then here the topics, basic topics related to the books, the price, availability of the book, whether it is available or not, whether it is in stock or not, whether to your location it is possible to deliver or not, because sometimes to some locations it is not possible to deliver, to some locations it is possible. So according to the user's request, that particular web page is formed. It is not the case if suppose I am asking to the Amazon that I want to purchase this particular item, this particular book. So if suppose to my place it is not deliverable on my web page, I will see that it is not deliverable to your location. But if suppose you want to purchase, and from the different location, if you make a request to the same book, and if it is possible to deliver to you that book, on your web page you will find the different response. Means the different responses are computed for different users. The different responses are computed according to the request of the client. The response is computed by the web server, and for computation of that particular response, the web server requires to make use of running of a program or the script. Like I named you some script like Perl, Python, ASP.NET, Ruby, whatever. Okay, so that script it has to learn, and accordingly it forms the web page and it puts it before you. So that is what the dynamic web page. That is what the dynamic web page. So this is difference between static web page and dynamic web page. Okay, everyone got the difference between the static and dynamic web page? Anyone can say yes? Yes,
ma'am.
okay.
Yes.
Now
ma'am.
don't leave, or otherwise I will be talking here alone and you will not be there. This should not be the situation. I hope everyone, you must be getting something, some knowledge you must be getting from this particular presentation, and you might have understood the difference between the static and the dynamic web page. So we will move forward to the next slide, which will allow us to understand how this web server processes the dynamic web page. Okay, if you will recall the earlier diagram in which the processing of the static web page we have seen, just there you will see web browser and web server. HTTP request has been made and the HTML file is responded back to the web browser. But some more components are involved in the processing of the dynamic web page. Okay, like application server, database server. Okay, so HTTP request has been made by a web browser, such as, for example, I want to purchase this book, and server will be of the Amazon's web server. So this Amazon's web server will go to the application server. Maybe it will be the application server which will be making use of some web servers, like it will be making use of the IIS server or Apache server or whatever the server which is installed for that particular application. So this application server is involving the use of the script. That script is executed, and that script might be referring to some database. So for example, on the the Amazon must be maintaining very large database of the different books or the different various types of the items that it is allowing us to shop online. So database is maintained on the database server. So that particular script or the program will ask for the availability of that item, or what is the current status of that particular item on the database. That will be taken by the application server as a response. Accordingly, it will form the response, and that response will be returned to the web server, and this web server will return that is in the form of a HTTP response back to the client, means to the web browser. So thus this way, in the processing of the dynamic web page, the application servers, database servers are involved. Sometimes it might not be the case that database server will be needed. If it is not needful to refer to the database, it might not contact, but application server will be at least involved. But most of the time, database server is also get involved in the processing of the dynamic web page. So this is what that application script that the application server is making use of. Okay, so this is the basic difference between how the web server processes a static web page and how the web server processes a dynamic web page. Everyone understood this basics? Yes, anyone can say yes, ma'am. Okay, very good. So I will move to the next slide this way. Now see, after this static and the dynamic processing of the web pages, or the difference between understanding the difference between the static and the dynamic web pages, will involve another term which is called as JavaScript. So where this particular JavaScript fits into the web development. JavaScript is used for client-side processing. Means JavaScript is processed at the client side. Client side means which side? Browser's side. Client side means browser's sides. So, for example, when we fill a form, several times we fill a online form. Yes. Now you might have filled several forms, like for admission purpose, you might have filled some form. Okay, for examination purpose, online you fill some form. Yes or no? We fill normally many forms, and on that forms the validation is uh, we can say the validations are put, such as if you are not putting your email address, it will give you error or it will not allow you to proceed. It is compulsory for you to put your email address, or it is compulsory to you to put your phone number. Otherwise it is not going to uh, go you further to submit the form. It will not allow you to submit the form. Again, these some another data validations, such as if you are wrongly putting the phone number, which is of suppose say mobile number 8 digit, it will not allow you. It will say that this is the invalid phone number. If you are putting email address which will not be involving ampersand sign, so what do it will give you error? This is the invalid email address, like that. These are the data validations. If some important field you are making empty, so it will ask you that this is the compulsory field of the form, you should fill it. So this particular thing is done at the client side. It is not the case that when you are filling the form, you are submitting it and then the server is giving you the error, such as you do not have filled the phone number correctly, you do not have filled the your email address correctly. It is not the case that the server is giving you the error. Otherwise, there will be too much load on the server. For such a small things, there is no need to go to the server. These particular tasks we can easily do at the client side. At the client side, you can write a JavaScript. You can write a JavaScript, and that JavaScript will check whether your phone number is in correct format, whether your email address is in correct format, whether you have filled all compulsory fields. It will check, and if it is not, the proper error will be responded to you at that place in the form of a pop-up box, and then you have to completely fill that particular form correctly, and then only when you click on submit button, your request is initiated to send towards the server. This everyone might have experienced. What particular thing, the use of the JavaScript that just I have described, everyone you might have experienced. Yes or no? Yes? Have you experienced this use of JavaScript? Anyone can say yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
You?
ma'am.
You have experience. Many times we get such error that you have not filled the phone number, you have not filled the correct email address, like that. So that is done by using JavaScript. In this course, how to write the JavaScript, at least for this data validation purpose, that we are going to understand. I will demo you that how to write the JavaScript and how to implement this data validation while designing the web pages. This is one of the important use of the JavaScript, and it is providing the client side processing. Again, the another uses of the JavaScript are such as image swaps, image rollovers. Okay. Now, when we visit to the different websites, online shopping websites, like on Amazon's. Okay. If you are searching, for example, if you are searching for some T-shirt, okay, if you are searching for some T-shirt, you want to purchase some T-shirt, at the another pane, another side of the web page, you can find some advertisements which are related to the other types of the T-shirts or the other shirts, men wears, other men wears, that you can find as a advertisement part. Yes or no? And in that, what happens that the images are rolling over. For some seconds, one shirt image we will see. After some seconds, that image is get replaced by the another shirt. Like that, we can see the different images that are get changed after some time period. So that images are swapping after some times. Images are rolling over after some time. If suppose someone likes a particular shirt, when they are get swapped from one place to another, you can click on that particular shirt and you can see the details of that shirt. Everyone also having the experience of this online shopping, and you might have seen. Or what you do, you can visit to the Amazon's website, though you don't want to purchase the any item today, but at least you can visit to the Amazon websites and you can see how do it looks. You can search for a particular item and you can just see that how that particular web page looks. So whatever the points that I am telling to you, that you can actually visualize over there and you can experience it. So how do these image swaps and image rollovers are designed? So they are designed by using JavaScript. Again, it is not the case that to change that image, the web page is going towards the web server to change the image. Because otherwise, if suppose this happens, there will be too much load on the server. So it is not going towards the server to take the another image. But what happens, that images are there towards the client side, and just that images are replaced by the JavaScript. A time clock is implemented that after this much seconds, you put this image rather than this image. Like that in the JavaScript, that particular thing is implemented, like image swap or the image rollovers. See, and now the difference between the scripting language and the markup language is, in the scripting language, you can have the provision for using the constructs, like you can create your variables, your constants, you can make use of the basic programming constructs like loop, decision making statements, making use of files, file handling, arrays. You can use some basic data structures. You can implement by using the scripting language. So it is more similar to the programming language, but the markup language are the different ones. Scripting language are like the programming language. As the HTML is not supporting these particular features, the scripting languages are developed, and those scripting language you can call in a HTML page on the button click event, like that. I'll tell you that how to code this. When you are clicking on a submit button, a program is executed, a script is executed. So there is an event which is get handled by the form. When you will learn how to construct or how to design the forms, that you will learn that how to put that particular script or how to call a particular script when you want to run it. Okay, so just you try to understand here that the use of the JavaScript is for developing such a image swaps, image rollovers, for data validations. Okay, and it is providing the client side processing. That is what sufficient to understand about the JavaScript. So how this JavaScript we can add into the architecture that we have learned in the processing of these web pages. So here we have a web browser. It makes a HTTP request towards the web server. It asks to the application server, then may involve the database server. It executes the application script, forms the response, returns it to the web server, and gives the response back. And here at the client side, when you are making a request, at that time this JavaScript is executed at the client side. Suppose you are filling a particular form before sending a request to the server. So this JavaScript is fit over here in the client side at the web browser side, and it is checking your form over here. It is implementing here image rollover, or it is implementing here that image swaps. So here the JavaScript is fitted. JavaScript is fitted at the client side, at the web browser side. Okay, so this is how the JavaScript is fits into the architecture. So just we have discussed. So we'll have a revision of that what are the common uses of the JavaScripts. So common uses of the JavaScripts are like data validation, image swaps and rollovers, slideshows. Okay, on the different websites. For example, if suppose some website is specifically designed for demonstrating a particular item, like suppose a car, how that particular car features are. So for that purpose, that manufacturer can design a slideshow for the particular product, like that car, and that slideshow it can put on the home page at some corner, and that slideshow is continuously going on and demonstrating the characteristic of that particular item, say car. Like that slideshows can be developed by the web designers by using the JavaScript. Okay, so this JavaScript is the client side scripting language. that is run by the JavaScript engine of a web browser and controls the operation of the web browser. So the work is done on the client side and not on the server side. This is what the very common use of the JavaScript. Get it? Everyone understood up to this? Yes? Anyone from you can say yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, so we have introduced to many topics like static web pages, dynamic web pages, then common use of the JavaScript over here. Next to that, moving towards, we'll be making a survey towards the different components that are involved in the web development. So we'll list some available products. For web browsers, we have a popular web browser such as we have an Internet Explorer, which is published by Microsoft. The latest version may not be IE8. You find out the latest version nowadays. This is the old diagram which is available in the book that I am referring. So you try to find out the latest version. It is released in September 2008 and it is available on the Windows platform. Firefox is published by Mozilla. The latest version is so and so that you can find out. It is released in June 2009. It is available for all major operating systems. Then we have the another browser which is called as Safari and it is published by Apple. The latest version can be identified on the internet, current latest version. It is available for specifically for the operating systems like X and Windows. Okay, Opera, it is the name of the browser and it is published by the Opera software and it is released in September 2009. It is available again for all major operating systems. Then we have a Google Chrome published by Google. It is also released in September 2009 and it is eventually be available for most of the operating systems. Maybe the open source or maybe the closed source like a Windows. Amongst them, which one is open source? Amongst all these five, which one is the open source browser? If you know, anyone can say which one is the open source?
Firefox.
Firefox is open source. Okay. So that is what the open source web browser that we can easily install on our systems and we can use it. But what happens that most of the times the JavaScripts are supported by Internet Explorer and therefore you can see that some government websites are there. Those government websites, if suppose they are using the JavaScript, they ask us to install the Internet Explorer or they asks us that better to view on the Explorer which is supporting JavaScript. Obviously, other browsers are also supporting JavaScript. It is not the case, but particularly Internet Explorer is always supporting. Otherwise, we have to check the option that support JavaScript. Sometimes it may become off by default. So you have to go to the options of the particular browser and you have to check it on. Checkbox should be made on that it should support you the JavaScript and then it is going to you support that. Okay. Then similar to the web browsers, here two servers are listed. There are many other web servers available, but these two are most popular one. One is the Apache web server, which is an open source web server that can run on any major operating system. It supports many server-side languages and it can easily interact with the many database servers. Okay, so another web server, IIS web server. This is the Microsoft's web server. It primarily supports ASP.NET scripting language and Microsoft's SQL Server database. But it can also be used with the other server-side scripting languages and database. Though these IIS can be used with the other server-side scripting languages and databases, mostly it is used along with ASP.NET and along with Microsoft SQL Server database. So IIS is get installed by default with the Windows operating system. But Apache, if you want to use it, you have to particularly install it. As it is open source, you can find out it and you can install it on your machines. But for our course, there is no need to install any of the web servers. But if you want to learn some scripting language like PHP or Python or Ruby, a particular web server is needed to be installed. Then and then only those scripting languages can be executed. Okay, So these are the web servers. Then we will introduce to some server side scripting languages. Like we have a popular language called ASP.NET. So it is included with the Microsoft IIS web server. It have the extension .aspx. Then we have a JSP. We have a JavaScript, which is a client side. But for server side also, the Java is supporting the server side scripting language, which is called as JSP. So this JSP is different than that of the JavaScript. This JSP is Java Server Pages. This JSP is Java Server Pages or Java Servlets. So it is a free open source language which is used with the Java Servlets. It runs on the Apache web server and it has the extension .jsp. Okay. Then we have a PHP server-side scripting language, which is free open source, typically used with the Apache web server, but it is also available with IIS, and it pages have the extension .php. Then we have a Cold Fusion, which is commercial scripting language that we have to purchase. So this is made available by the Adobe, which integrates well with the Adobe Flash and Flex. So when we want to design the web pages or the web applications, which will involve use of the images or use of many animation features. Okay, so that time the Cold Fusion will be better. Then we have a Ruby, we have Perl, we have Python. So these all are the free and open source languages. Okay, they are making use of the respective web servers, like Apache is used for this. Ruby will have .rb as the extension to the script. Perl will have .pl as the extension to its script. Python will have .py as the extension to its script. Okay, so these are the many server-side scripting languages. So we have taken a survey of many different web browsers that we can use, many different web servers, many different server-side scripting languages that are available over there. Okay, everyone understood up to this introduction to the web development? To this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so assignment to all of you that you have to do at home is that today what you do, you download the syllabus for our course, go through the syllabus, try to understand that what is included in the syllabus, read the complete syllabus properly. Means just do not download it, but you read it, try to read it, and then you visit to some websites and just try to understand its basic structures, that how do this particular web page is designed. Then what is there at the top pane, what is there at the bottom pane, whether the layout is dividing the web page into 2 parts or into the 3 parts, what is there at the left side, what is there at the right side, how do the particular content is put before us and how do it looks. You try to visit to some websites, but the purpose is to understand the design, how it is designed, try to understand it. Then again it happens that when you visit to a website by using mobile, we look the website different, but if you visit the website to the by using the laptop or by using the computers, then at that time on that browser it looks different. When we visit that website by using mobile, it is adjusted in such a manner, in a proper manner, so that the important menus or the options, we can easily reach to those options so that you can easily click on them and you can proceed your job. Okay, otherwise if suppose it is displayed like on laptop or like on computer, and if it is displayed on your mobile in the same way, what will happen? You have to scroll too much horizontally as well as to vertically to reach to a particular text, but it is not there. It is adjusted according to the size of the mobile screen. Yes or no? It is done like that. So you try to observe that these particular things, and then in the next lecture we are going to start with the HTML5, how to actually design the web pages. That I am going to start in the next lecture. I hope everyone, you might have understood these particular points that I have taught you today. Yes?